Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of ZF Today's Opening Bell, or how we call it in Romania, ZF Deschiderea De Astăzi. We are discussing today with PETER DE BOER. He's the CEO of DN AGRAR. PETER, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good to be here.
Thank you very much, PETER, for accepting our invitation, and congratulations on your new role. How does it feel like?
Yeah, now it's just a couple of hours, let's say. So far, they still call me Peter in the office, and not Donald de Boer whatsoever. So probably I need to work a little bit on the hierarchy. No, joking. I'm really glad. It was we were working for a long time on this, together with the new strategy, of course, that we have announced as well yesterday. So it were really intensive months and stress, and also a bit. It was also a bit of an emotional day yesterday, although my father keeps close to us as president of the board. But yeah, it's a new step, and I'm really looking forward to it, with the ambitious strategy that we have announced, to be responsible, to be the main responsible, to lead the team the next 5 years to implement our ambitious, but yet we think achievable strategy.
Ambitious plans and hard-working measures, let's say, from the company, they are already rewarded at the Bucharest Stock Exchange, because we've seen the share price, the action on the share price. Peter, I want to discuss today about the financial results, then the strategy you just mentioned, and the management. Let's see the financial results. The profit increased by almost 80% in the first quarter compared to last quarter. What were the main drivers? If you can explain us how the business went in the first quarter, and how do you see the second one?
Yeah, I think there are three main drivers, if we would describe it like that. Of course, the most simple one is that we benefited for a milk price that was our sales price increased with over 20% in the first quarter compared to the previous year. Although we saw a decline in milk price in the first 3 months, let's say the European market price declined, but it was significantly higher than the previous year. That was one thing. Secondly, the 7% increase in milk deliveries. We reached almost every month 6 million liters of milk. Within the first quarter, in total, we delivered over 17 million liters of milk. So of course that clearly contributed as well. And the third is that we further succeeded to optimize all of our operational costs, especially on the poult farm, where we did significant investment in the last couple of years, and more that starts to pay off. And of course, we had the commissioning of the Deschiderea farm, our newest farm that is currently under construction for 5,000 dairy cows. And we started to enter the farm in March with 900 dairy cows, and by the end of the year we will have almost 2,000 dairy cows at that farm. And we delivered the first milk deliveries from this farm as well. So that were the main reasons, I would say, for the significant increase, especially in profitability of the company. But also we had a growth of turnover of 27%, reached almost of over 50 million. Also our EBITDA rose at 44%. So it was an extremely strong quarter, and a strong support from all of the team, let's say. My father set a clear target for next year, because it will be not that easy to overpass him, let's say, next year in the first quarter. But we will do our best for that.
Peter, are people drinking more milk, or do you started covering more units, more supermarkets, let's say?
We see also a growth in consumption. Next to that, we see also a growth in import. It's approx 8%. Romania imported 8% more milk. Although at the moment there's too much milk on the market. We see overall quite significant decreases in milk price on the European level, and especially also in Romania. Of course, another point of concern is the price cap that was implemented by the previous government on dairy products, which blocks innovation. and especially for companies who are all like us, like DN AGRAR, who all the time aims for adopting new technologies, doing new investments, and try to be as innovative as possible, and especially to be as circular as possible. That makes it harder, and especially that is one of the reasons that we decided to also export more milk. So all the milk that is not contracted, that we haven't ongoing contracts with, currently we sell mainly to Greece.
Greece.
For this reason, yeah.
Okay, why Greece?
Well, that's a good question. It's far away, which means also transportation costs. But Greece almost imports the far majority part of their milk, and they have some really large food producers there, and also in their dietary, etc. It's a product that is heavily used, and so at the moment, as I said, there is too much milk on the market. That started already around the Easter period, and there we see a clearly strong, constant demand. What we're now looking into is how could we reduce our transportation costs and increase margins. We do now a research to a kind of equipment where we could extract the water from the milk, so we could transport way more milk, and through that we significantly reduce the transportation cost, and through that it will really support us to increase the deliveries to Greece, but also to Italy, and to be less dependent on the Romanian market. Nevertheless, we see more than potential. We see significant potential still to grow also in the Romanian market, because still the far majority, over 40%, is imported, so there's still room for growth. But the Romanian milk price at the moment is significantly under the European average. So we also, we need to consider also to be able to export, or at least to expand our markets.
Peter, do you think that being too much milk on the market right now, you are being forced? Is forced the right word? You are being forced to export?
No, it is, for us it's quite simple. We just it's just a calculation, let's say.
Okay.
A simple method. We look to where we can obtain the best price. How we work is we have at the moment 6 clients where we deliver constantly every week, and to some of them every day, milk trucks, full trucks. And secondly, then we work with a trader who sells our milk in Romania, but also outside of Romania, and that is just goes generally for the prices on the spot market. And then we just make a calculation. Okay, where do we get the best price? Our contracted milk, of course, goes for a different price. Our general sales price is connected to 6 Northern Western European countries average, so that price is not affected by it, which could also be seen that we had in the first quarter a higher milk price of over 20%, and also in Q2 we have a significant higher milk price than we had in the previous year. But it is true, especially for a large producer as DN AGRAR is, we sell only full trucks, which means that is a truck transports more than 20,000 liters. And there are not many processors on the local market who can process such a truck, or they can storage it, but they need 3 or 4 days to process it. So somehow there are 5 or 6, let's say, potential processors, maybe 7 on the Romanian market where we could sell to. So in that regard, we are a bit limited, and that's the reason. Maybe we will discuss later on the new strategy, but there is one of the reasons, or one segment that we added in the strategy, is how can we valorize our commodity in a different way, and because we don't want to compete with milk processors or with our clients. So we did an analysis on what could we do, and there are several things we could think of. For example, we could start to produce a milk powder, or we could extract the fat and the protein from the milk, and this we could sell separately. That means reduction of transportation costs, but also we could start to deliver, for example, to companies like Unilever or Nestle or other big food producers, or large bakery factories. So then we can diversify, let's say, our client groups, and we are looking into this to be more resilient and to be able to grow further also with the milk production, let's say, because we announced yesterday a new farm, the Kutu farm, which will start to be constructed from next year.
And this is where where Schengen comes in, and that's a big plus for DN AGRAR, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big plus because in the past we also exported milk to Albania, and it's, for example, a country that is not in Schengen. For the moment, we stopped deliveries there because we had now several times that the truck needed to wait too long at the borders or too many checks. And then, of course, the quality dilutes. So no, Schengen is a huge beneficial, and we were. It sounds probably strange from a Dutch person, but we were heavily a supporter for many years for Romania to enter Schengen, and we think this is a great achievement, and to be even more connected to the rest of Europe, and it will help us and other companies as well to grow in this great country.
It doesn't sound strange. It sounds logical and healthy because your business is here. Peter, let's see, how are the ongoing projects, how are the ongoing investments projects progressing? Straja, solar panels, compost plant, biogas plant, if you can give us a few words.
Yeah, only for this year already we announced investment of approximately 20 million lei in green or circular in the circular economy or in the circular agriculture. That is of course the solar panels. They are currently mounted at the moment at the Appold farm, next month at the Kut farm, and the month after in the Lacto Agrar farm. Then in the three largest farms in the group, they will function completely on solar, or at least for 80% for now. And we also will, the goal is as well in September, if the PNR funds reopen again, at least that is our estimation, that we will also try to obtain solar panels for the Straja farm. And there we expect to install them next year. If we go to the Straja farm itself, as I mentioned already, we started to produce milk in March, and things go quite smoothly. In 1 month, I think in approximately 1 month, we will add another 900 cows, or we will have at least the capacity for another 900 cows. So then we will reach already 1,800 cows in the coming months. You can, of course, not bring in one day all those animals to the farm, so that goes gradually every week, 30 or 40 animals. So that goes quite well, and we are convinced that we will reach our target by the end of the year, as I said, 1,800. But our goal is to increase the population faster at that farm. Then the biomethane plant, things go quite well. The acquisition of land is finalized for this project, and now the next step is permitting. We expect that the permitting will be finalized next year. Our goal is April or April, May. And then, of course, in the meantime, we need to work and to repeat ourselves many times that it becomes time that Romania implement legislation, or the Romanian government implements legislation for injection of biomethane into the grid, which is one of the few countries left in Europe where this is not possible. It's not a question if, because Romania will be forced also by EU law. And also the Commission has sent already warnings in this regard. So it's only the question when. But we are quite positive on this part because the legislation is under consultation, and we expect if things go smoothly now and things calm down a bit, that it could be implemented this year. And then our goal is, of course, to be operational in 2027. In our budget or in our scenarios, we have included it from 2028, but the goal is still 2027. And that will improve significantly the profitability of the DN AGRAR Group, as we estimate to have every year at least turnover between 3.5 and 4 million euros, where DN AGRAR is responsible for the delivery of the feedstock.
Peter, let's see about the budget for this year. Do you think that you will adjust the budget in a positive way?
Well, as you mentioned already, we had a 78% in a net profit of 14 million, and we budgeted for this year approximately 39 million. If we look, of course, to the first quarter, and also the second quarter will be a strong quarter. Probably we need to have a look again in the summer to see if we need to adjust the budget. So far, it shows that the milk price will remain relatively high. In Q2, we see now in July it will stabilize. Between June and July, there will be not a significant difference. I expect that we will have a decrease in milk price in August and September. And from what we see now in the world market, they expect a shortage of milk in September, October, so then we will see an increase again. So if it remains this trend, then normally we will overpass the budget. Nevertheless, we have issues with the weather this year. Last year we benefited of sufficient rainfall, etc. And although in Transylvania this year it is quite cold, and we don't have a lot of rain. We now harvested the triticale crop, and we have half of the tons compared to last year. And that after the triticale crop, we sow as a second crop corn. The general corn, of course, we sow already many weeks and months ago. But the second crop, corn, is heavily delayed. Normally we finish that end of April, beginning of May. But because of the drought, and the unfavorable rainfall, or the low rainfall, we are significantly behind schedule. That means at least we need to acquire extra food from the market or extra feedstock. For now, we estimate at least 1 million euros extra, but we need to analyze in the summer how dry it will be if we need to purchase more. On the other hand, for the cows, so far the climate is really favorable. Last year in May we had already a heat wave. We don't have this at the moment. So overall things look really good, and I think when we present in August our half-year results, if things go on like this, probably we will come with an update to the budget.
Peter, one more question before we go over the strategy that you announced about the change in the management structure. What should investors expect from the new team going forward?
I think, or not. I mean, the new management team that is announced, they are extremely senior in the company. Almost all of them, they are more or less from the start of the DN AGRAR Group. Our technical director is for over 15 years at the DN AGRAR Group. Our CFO is close to 13-14 years in the group. The COO is also for a really long time in the group, more or less the same period. And my father prepared us the last couple of years also in this role. So it's not that something changes from yesterday to today. Many roles we perform already internally for quite some time now. Of course, we will. The new strategy announcement is some diversification and some more rapid growth, but that becomes also the company becomes more and more mature. So we are convinced with the results, and if we look to the markets, etc., and the potential and how the company is positioned, how the DN AGRAR is positioned, that we can step up and that we could grow even a bit faster, or to at least speed up the process. But so we should not expect huge changes. We will further grow on milk production, and we had a strategy to double from 2024 to 2027 based on the results in 2023. We are quite close by achieving those goals. In the first 2 years of listing, we even tripled our business, and now our goal is from 2025 to 2030 to double our EBITDA in 2030 based on the budgeted EBITDA for 2025. So not significant changes, but further growth in the things that we are good at. That means milk production. We announced the Q2 farm, start, as I mentioned already, construction next year. Further investments in green energy, and on the long term, we also will look in greenhouses for vegetable production.
That was my next question, Peter, because I've seen the strategy. There are 6 main pillars, if I'm not mistaken: milk production, compost, green energy, vertical farming, alternatives for valorizing milk, and greenhouses. What can you tell us about vertical farming? Or if we can give us a few words about each of them. You already mentioned some of them.
Yeah. So if we look, let's say first to our core operations is of course milk production. Our goal now, our goal is to reach by the end of 2027 or somewhere 2028 to reach a 100 million liters production per annum. We are quite on track. This year we estimate to have a milk production of 70 million liters, and we will consistently grow in the coming years, mainly through the Deschiderea farm. Next to that, in 2030, we will produce 150 million liters of milk, because then also the Q2 farm is implemented. And we are also, but that is really in the design phase, looking for a Deschiderea 2 farm that will also populate 500 dairy cows with a daily production of 150,000 liters of milk. And if we will be able to also implement that farm, that decision will be taken in 2028. We will reach close to 200 million liters of milk production per annum. So that is on the milk production side. Then we have energy. Of course, we look further to further increase the solar panels. We have from 2027 the start of the operation of the biomethane production, which reduces our emissions with 90%. And we announced as well where DN AGRAR doesn't do any investment. So let me be clear, that is not an investment, although it generates new incomes, but it's a reduction of emissions. And DN AGRAR only provides the feedstock to this plant. Secondly, we have compost. Last year we opened our first compost plant for 7,000 tons of organic fertilizer. This year, approved by our shareholders, we will double the capacity at the Lacto Agrar farm. We are currently constructing the second compost unit. So by the end of the year, we will have a compost capacity of 14,000 tons of organic fertilizer, which will be sold outside of the group. Currently, market prices vary between, I would say, 190 and 230 euros per ton. We will certify it as organic fertilizer, and in the coming years, we will double that. At our Koet farms, we will install also 2 composting units. So in the coming years, we will double it to 28,000 tons of organic fertilizer. And then the last step will be also to implement it at the Deschiderea farms, which will reach in the end to an organic fertilizer production of 40,000 tons. Through that, we will also obtain 100,000 voluntary certificates who are tradable per year for a period of 15 years. So on that side, and then of course I mentioned already the weather, as well as we produce between 80 and 90% of our own feedstock on 7,000 hectares in the group, inside the group, plus we work another 3,000 hectares outside of the group. But we have already for several years that it is really hard to compete with the market prices. At least we so far, let's say from 4 out of 5 years, we don't succeed to compete with our production costs are higher than the market prices. Thanks to that, we see a lot of developments, especially in the United States, but also in Asian countries, by feed or wheatgrass produced in a greenhouse or in a vertical farm. And currently we are in the testing phase. We expect to implement the first vertical farm for feedstock for cows next year. With financing, I think we will announce in Q3 of this year or latest Q4. That's an investment of approximately 3 to 4 million euros. And one vertical farm will have an output of 20 tons of wheatgrass per day. And currently we are testing, because first it has a production cycle of 7 to 8 days to harvest. And first we thought, because you can imagine, electricity is the highest cost to produce this product, because for the rest, it needs 90% less water than a conventional crop. It doesn't need herbicides, no pesticides. But through testing, we found out that the first 4 days, the wheatgrass doesn't need light. So that is a significant improvement in the business case and a reduction of the electricity cost. And we found out as well, instead, if you would not harvest on day 8, but on day 9 or 10, you can almost double the number of tons harvested. And it will give a constant quality fresh food for the animals. It gives a constant protein level. And study shows that cows, if you replace 20 to 30% of feedstock with this wheatgrass, that the cow gives either a higher milk yield, or it eats less, it consumes less tons per cow, which means ultimately also a reduction in food cost. So we see a lot of potential there. Of course, it is a new technology, so we will implement it first on one farm, and the goal is, if it works out well, that we will implement this to all our farms, and that we also can sustain the growth in animals without extracting a lot of extra land, which is also hard to find in our region. And then, of course, we have the greenhouses. Currently, we see in Romania that approximately 10% of the vegetables are covered. So covered means who are produced in a greenhouse. Romania is a net importer. The government implemented many legislation, but also strategies to become a net exporter in the coming years. So we see partially that could be financed through subsidies, as well as we will look probably to a major capital increase on the stock exchange, but it's only more or less around 2028. And we see huge potential for large-scale industrial vegetable production, especially that the sales prices on the Romanian market are relatively high, especially if you compare to Bulgaria and Hungary, but also compared to Poland. We did quite some market studies, and currently we are developing this business case. It's something new, and we are aware of that, so we will take our shareholders completely through the steps. But we think, that this could be a significant diversification step where we have some synergies because of our compost product, of course. And secondly, which we think of a scale on a smaller scale, it would be 15 to 20 hectares. But if you would really think larger, and if we would copy the Dutch model, let's say, we should think of 40 to 50 hectares.
So there's innovation, and there are new projects. From where do you think you will get the finance for this ambitious plan? Bonds on the stock market, loans from the banks?
Bonds, at least in our case, although I hear many managers say that they opt for bonds because they cannot get financing. We don't have this issue, and so far bank financing is more economical. Now, generally, we get offers between 1.7 or 2% plus Euribor, let's say. That's the offers that we receive currently. So I think for bank financing, partially own sources, especially after the commissioning of the biomethane plant, we will have a larger cash flow. So that is for the first few projects, and the things that we mainly, so the Koet farm, the Koet 2 farm, that will be an investment of 13 to 15 million euros. But from that investment, 7.5 million euros is already reserved for animals. And generally, we raise our own animals, so that is a movement inside of the group. So, and the other 7 to 10 million euros we expect to finance by bank, and also the compost units in the coming years. As well as the first wheatgrass plant. And for the greenhouses, that will mean a way larger investments that we will connect to the upgrade to the main market of the Bucharest Stock Exchange. Currently, we are restating all our financial statements. In September, that should be completely finalized for 2024 as well as for 2023. And from next year, we will also report on a quarterly basis in IFRS. Mm-hmm. So that from then the company is normally ready to do the upgrade to the main market, but we aim to do the upgrade to the main market for now on 2028, depending on the market conditions, of course. And then our strategy is to get pension funds or institutional investors on board. And a part of the greenhouses, we estimate that should be financed through a major capital increase with a combination of subsidies and maybe some bank financing.
And Peter, my last question. In this strategy, there are 4 growth scenarios. You presented them. What are the main differences, let's say, between them, and which one do you think has the higher potential of materializing?
Well, the difficulty is anyway, it is not that hard to predict 1 year, although in 1 year we have sometimes a volatility of milk price of more than 20%. But for 5 years, that's hard to estimate, especially in the unstable world we are in today. Clearly, whatever it doesn't that matter so much to which scenario you look. There is all scenarios offer a clear path to significant growth in the coming years and significant value creation for all our stakeholders and especially, of course, our investors. But we always, as the most, let's go in the middle, let's say, I would say scenario 2 and 3. Of course, if we look currently to the milk price, etc., we are somewhere between 3 and 4 at the moment, but it's hard to predict for 5 years. I don't estimate that the milk price will remain this high all the time. On the other hand, we will enter the biomethane in the coming years. We will have compost, where both of them have significantly high profit margins, so that helps to be resilient. But I would say let's aim for somewhere in the middle between 2 and 3.
Okay.
On the other hand, not all the plans that we have announced in the strategy are already in the scenario. So if we are able to execute also some of the scenarios of some of the plans that are not in the scenarios, of course the figures will even look better. But we are really confident that we will deliver in the coming years. But it's hard to say exactly, of course, where we will end, because it's a strategy of 5 years, and that's the reason why are we doing a strategy of 5 years? We want to be predictable, transparent, that investors understand our reasoning. But the strategy in itself is not an end goal. We need to review it every year, and we will also update every year the scenarios, or maybe twice a year, so that for everyone it's clear what the goal is.
Thank you very much, Peter, for this discussion, for the details, for explaining the business and your plans, and congratulations again for being the CEO. And we look forward for DN AGRAR to implement these ambitious plans. Peter De Boer, CEO of DN AGRAR. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Până data viitoare, fii întins la investiții câștigătoare. Numai bine.
Știu ce spun.
Putin a anunțat o încetare a focului temporară. Păi unde-i pace? Ce pace? El face doar declarații care dau peste cap orice.
Iartă-mă. Știu ce te interesează.
Suprafața agricolă deținută de cetățenii din afara României la noi în țară a crescut cu 1/3 în ultimii 4 ani.
De ce nu văd mai mult oportunitatea și agricultorii noștri?
Nu sunt obișnuiți ai noștri, stai liniștit.
Știu cum să te fac curios.
Ești politicos cu ChatGPT, iei miliarde din buzunare lui Sam Altman. Te rog, Nemo. Îți mulțumesc că ești prezentat.
De ce folosești cuvinte inutile? Nu folosi așa, consumăm energie.
Știu cum să te emoționezi.
S-a lăsat liniștea la Vatican. Bazilica Sfântul Petru s-a închis pentru cei care au vrut să-l vadă pentru ultima dată pe Papa Francisc.
Știu să conving.
Cazinoul din Constanța își caută angajați. Deja erau pereții și geamurile pline de găină. Deja, îți dai seama, nici nu l-au deschis bine publicului și deja era deteriorat. Ce imagine îți creează?
Știu să câștig.
La mustață, Nemo.
La mustață.
Știu, deci știi.